when you retire, what do you want people to say about you?
It's not the mistake that makes you, it's your character and how you recover. You can only be a leader if there's people behind you. And trust the people that you put in place to deliver your directions. All these years of gaining all this knowledge is not mine to keep, it's mine to pass down.
You're listening to the Elevate Your Call to Service podcast.
Here, law enforcement leaders gain practical tools to lead proactively in a reactive profession so they can communicate clearly, strengthen internal trust, and stay grounded in their call to serve.
I'm Mike McIntosh, a retired sheriff and current division chief with nearly 4 decades in law enforcement leadership.
And I'm Cathy McIntosh, a business and branding strategist and longtime law enforcement wife. I focus on the human side of leadership, communication, identity, and the internal dynamics that impact performance and trust across an organization.
Together, we combine real-world command experience with clear, actionable leadership conversations.
So you can lead with intention, build stronger teams, and elevate your call to service. Welcome back to Elevate Your Call to Service. Here we help leaders strengthen themselves, their teams, and their organization through practical leadership conversations. Today, we are so honored to welcome someone whose career reflects a lifetime of service. Leon P. Jones spent more than 3 decades in law enforcement, beginning his career with the Oklahoma State University Police Department and eventually serving there as chief of police. Throughout his career, Leon led through growth, crises, and organizational change while earning a reputation as a leader who values integrity, mentorship, and servant leadership. He's a graduate of the FBI National Academy. He holds multiple degrees in criminal justice and today continues investing in the next generation as a criminal justice instructor at Meridian Technology Center. He's also the co-founder of a nonprofit for kids' sake that's dedicated to helping young people and the communities they serve. He's the author of Following a Path I Couldn't See, where he shares the leadership lessons, challenges, and defining moments that shaped his journey from a small-town kid to chief of police. And Leon, we are so grateful to have you here. Welcome to Elevate Your Call to Service.
I thank you for inviting me and having me on the show. I'm excited.
Well, Leon, I love the title, "Following a Path I Couldn't See." I believe that's a place where every leader at some point probably was, and they can definitely relate to. When you look back at your career, what was the path that you couldn't see when you first pinned on your badge?
So that first day, actually accepting the position after the phone call and meeting with the captain, I was scared to death. I didn't even have an idea that I could even do the job. And so I walked in my first day, just really anxious. The path I couldn't see was, even though I told the chief that I interviewed that I wanted to be sitting in the chair where he was as chief, I didn't fully believe it. And that was the path that I couldn't see, is that as the promotion started, coming in, it really gave me ideas that I'm headed to that chair, but I couldn't see it. I didn't know uh, how far it would take me. And I just kept going. But I didn't know really. I wanted it, but I just couldn't see it.
Mm.
That's so good. And you said too that he believed in you. He was the one that kind of came alongside you and mentored you. Um, and I'd like to ask the question, is he someone who saw something in you before you could even fully see it in yourself?
Yes, Chief Everett Eaton, when I got there, and I told him that I made that statement. He pointed at his wall and he said, "You're going to have to get these." And it was the, college degrees.
Mm.
And so I didn't wait like normal, like I wouldn't say normal. I didn't wait to start preparing for that next position. So I started right away. After I got my setting or I got settled in, I enrolled in college and I started taking classes, got my associates first, then my bachelor. And I didn't stop. I kept going until I got my master's. And he was the one that put the positive confidence into me to let me know that I could do this and that he was going to be there to assist me with if I had any questions or anything. He was open. And that really gave me that confidence to say, I can do this. And I wasn't a fish out of water as I thought I was. I couldn't believe that this person that I just really met saw that in me. Just like your parents do when they tell you that, you could do this. He was saying, and it was so powerful that I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you said that in your interview with the with the chief or with a captain, you said that you want to be sitting in that chair. That's a pretty bold statement for somebody who hasn't even started. But kind of to your point, wow. I mean, he just barely knew you, but already had that faith and that confidence in you that kind of stood behind you and said, yep, I'd love to see you in this chair. And here's that path forward. The other thing that you said, and you almost said not like normal people, but that's something that I want to touch on a little bit. You said that you didn't wait to start preparing for sergeant. You immediately went after that. And I would say that that's unique in law enforcement because a lot of times folks don't have that kind of vision to see themselves sitting in that chair 20, 25 years from now. It, Kathy and I, when we teach and do some of our consulting, one of the things that we do is we want folks to look with the end in mind, right? Look at when you retire, what do you want people to say about you?
Yes.
And that's I think that sounds like what you had in mind when I finally hang up the gun belt. What do I want to have accomplished within the law enforcement community, and what do I want people to say about me? And you did that almost day one or day two
Very
of your law
intuitively.
enforcement career. And that is amazing. Where did that come from? That confidence and really being able to see that vision as a young man at that point. I mean, we're talking what, 25, 26 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Where did that come
I
from?
when I played sports in high school, and I was recruited to play football at Kansas, and I had multiple setbacks. Uh, I didn't go to Kansas. I wanted to go somewhere closer to home, so I talked to the coach at Southern Arkansas. Well, he said, "Come on in. We enjoy walk-ons, and you could possibly get a scholarship." Well, he got fired the next year before I got there. It's just multiple setbacks, and then uh, you think about it. Uh, in my book, I talk about a incident where I had a heart condition or some type, but it really wasn't. It was a situation where my heart stopped, and I was taken to the hospital. And when I woke up, I had a burning sensation, almost like God was telling me, and it was strong, that you are destined for this greatness. You need to
Mm,
stay on this path. And so I put all that in the book, and it was real. That changed my life completely, and it gave me the confidence because I had the faith to believe whatever that was telling me. So I don't know how long I was out, and I don't know how long what they showed me when I was out, but I felt it. The drive to move forward, the drive to reach the goals, and to stay on this path. And still didn't know what this path was, but whatever was telling me to stay there, it meant it. And I can only think of it as like God was trying to reach me for many years, and He couldn't. So he uh, he stopped my heart so He can tell me and show me. And when He brought me back, I was a believer. So
he got a hold of you.
He got a hold of me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it pushed me, and I still didn't know what the path was, and my confidence it was building, but it wasn't completely strong. And
Mm,
so when I
hmm.
made that, I worked at Walmart for years. I knew that wherever I worked, I wanted to be at the top.
Yeah.
And when that didn't happen at Walmart, I went and worked at Friendly Mobile Homes for a bit, sales and service. And then when I joined the police department, and the chief said that to me, it lit a fire under me.
That's incredible. One of the things that we often talk about is that leadership readiness, and so many times when promotional processes happen, that seems to be the time that if
You
it's a
prepare.
sergeant announcement or a commander not, that seems to be the time that they start to get ready
Hmm.
now for that position, and our encouragement to those that have that vision, that want to sit in those different chairs, is that they get ready long before the announcement comes out, right? And I'm a firm believer, and I would imagine that you are as well, that leadership readiness can actually be taught.
Yes. when I started going to school, knowing that that was an option and getting prepared, that's the main thing that holds a lot of people back from being promoted right away. They wait till the last minute to get started. And so we had a lot of people that applied for the sergeant's position. And I was the only one at the time that had got the certifications and everything and was ready. And so I placed my application on the desk the next day after the announcement came out. And I watched everybody else scrambling to get everything that they needed. And that reminded me again that when the next promotion comes up, I'm going to have everything I need.
Mhm.
Mm,
It
yeah.
also spread that to the people that were wanting it as well, even the people that I was in competition with. Hey, let's get together and let's start working for this promotion that's coming because one is
Right.
going to be coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and
What?
that's a really good example too of when you pull people who are competing against you for a position, you pull them together and say, "Hey, let's get ready for this together." That is the foresight of developing an organizational culture and doing what's best for the agency, not just what's best for you. And let's make ourselves ready so we as a team can be better as a whole. It's just remarkable. You have just a depth of mindset and preparedness that obviously I'm not the one in law enforcement, but that's not something that I see often. And maybe it's something that people aren't necessarily talking about, but in the short time that I've known you, that is probably what I would see as one of your most admirable traits. That's remarkable to me.
Thank you.
And I love the way that you express it. And like I said, it's not just about you, it's about a team and a whole and an agency and an organization. And let's do this. Let's propel ourselves, plural, forward in that. I love it.
That's I never wanted any excuses for failure that I can control myself,
Good.
and that's that failure is a part of growth,
Hmm.
but uh, being proactive, knowing that you're going to have an opportunity. Why wait to get prepared for it? We know what sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and chief is all steps in the police department.
Hmm.
So I start preparing it in steps because they didn't leave any secrets on the table of what you need to do to
Hmm.
get there. And so it was just up to me to start pushing myself to do it and pushing others.
It's so good.
As you did that, what do you think was the thing that really kind of propelled that? What did you work mostly on as you were going through the ranks? And I know that you said, college was very important, a very important piece of that. But how did you take that knowledge and the other knowledge and experience that you were gaining, and how did you prepare for that next position in law enforcement?
So I put myself out there. I have gained connections. I made relationships with a lot of people on campus, off campus, and other universities that we went to. And I just shared the knowledge and gained the knowledge from them in all aspects. And so when the promotion came, everybody was rooting for me and saying they know me and they know how I operated. I was never afraid to strike a conversation with anybody. And to me, getting to know the people that you're going to be protecting and serving is
Mm,
very important. Uh,
yeah.
you know what they want. And once you reach the rank to make the decisions, you can provide that both for the officers and the community.
Yeah, that's great. When I think about, you going through the ranks and then, you getting to that place where you now have taken on the role and the responsibility of that chief of police. What kind of culture did you intentionally start to build within that organization?
So I really was into community policing, community minded, because as a police agency, we don't solve any crimes without the community. We don't get things done without the community. As a chief, I could go and tell people what I feel they need to do, but that wasn't the goal. I wanted them to come to us and say, "Hey, this is what we want to do. This is the event we want to go." And I don't want to give them excuses. I want to say, "Okay, you tell us exactly what you want to do, and we'll build security around you so you are successful."
Mm,
If the community is successful, guess what? We are successful. And then it started helping them realize that we're not responsible for the whole thing. We all are responsible for it together. It, the only example I could give when I first got the chief's position and I started meeting with officers said, we come in contact with people every day on this camp. And a few of them we become really good friends with. Now, one day you're out running traffic, and every time you come in contact with this person, they're happy and smiling, just a great attitude. But at one point, you stop them because they created a violation. And when you walk up to the driver's side of the window, they're not smiling, and you could just tell because you know them. Then forget about the traffic stop. Start thinking about their mental well-being and seeing what's going on first, because that's more important.
Mm.
And so that's the kind of mindset I wanted at the department, really truly caring department, to know when that certain actions need to be taken and when other actions need to be taken.
That's
And I
great.
think they bought into that really well for my tenure there, my 8 years as chief.
So how do you create leaders who then continue that culture after you're gone?
So while I was a training lieutenant, I was very involved in the hiring process. And like Chief Eaton did with me, he gave me the knowledge to get where I wanted to be, but he also watched. And so if I wouldn't have made the move toward what he told me I needed to do, he would have gave that knowledge to someone else. And so as I started bringing in new officers and started training them, I'd give them every option. I give them all the resources. I told them exactly what they needed to do. And leaders are born. You can teach leaders,
Mm.
but leaders are born because it's just something about them. When they walk in, people gravitate to them, ask them
Mhm.
questions, they do all that stuff. So I would really watch these officers, and as I would go progress through the ranks, which ones was really wanting to get involved, which ones was preparing themselves before the opportunity came up, and the ones that constantly put themselves out there to show that they really cared about the community and they was not afraid to. They didn't hide in their cars. In other words, when traffic got busy, they needed to get out their cars and direct traffic. I
Mm.
watched all that stuff. Every day was an
Yeah.
interview.
It's such a great statement. Um, I, I had, he was the undersheriff at the time, make kind of that same comment. Every day you're kind of auditioning for that next rank, and those are powerful statements when you think about it that way. Every day is an interview, every day is an opportunity, every day is an audition, especially if you're wanting to move in an organization. It's just a powerful mindset to have. One of the things that when Kathy and I met with you, that you shared that you were the very first African American chief at Oklahoma State University there at the main campus, and you undoubtedly carried some additional expectations because of that, right? I mean, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders, especially a man of your caliber that you're carrying as you go into that. How did that shape your leadership philosophy? And what advice would you give leaders who know that they're kind of representing something larger than themselves?
So that was big. So I got promoted, but they had the reception. And so they made the announcement at the reception to everybody. My parents were there, my brothers and sisters. And as we were walking out, my dad looks at me and he said, "This is a big deal, kid." And I was
Mm,
like, I just thought it was another opportunity being promoted in the police department. Like I had an extra assignment that I said that I could do while still being a police officer. But after he said that, it hit me. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is. And so the more the days came, they were highlighting it as the first African American chief on the main campus. Now I'm representing the whole, that kind of culture, because if even like my nieces and nephews, they see their Uncle Leon up in the spot, he made it. Boy, I can't screw it up, because that will take opportunity from the people that might have had an opportunity coming up. Just the way the world is. I didn't want to be that person that dropped the ball, and that was pressure enough. I took advantage of the honeymoon period, I guess they call it, for the new chiefs. And that allowed me to take deep breaths and start looking at not as the first African American chief, but what can I do to make this department be the best department that it could be for our
mm,
community?
mhm.
And when that time comes, I want to leave it in a lot better shape than when I got it. Not saying that the previous administration left it in a bad shape, but I want to leave it better, because the goal of work is retirement, right? That's your main goal, is once you come in. And so it just really it weighed on me, but it gave me even more confidence that everybody was proud of that moment and everybody highlighted that moment, and it made me feel safe and secure that there was going to be people there beside me that's going to be protecting me and pushing me because university don't want me to fail either.
Right.
So I embraced that, and I didn't take advantage of it in a way that would cause issues. I embraced it as gratitude. Thank you for this opportunity. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let you down.
Yeah, and I can imagine, that at times that was, as you're walking through those difficult times, those difficult days, that's also one of those motivators, to make sure that, that you finish well, right? That people can go back and they can say, Leon not only finished, he not only retired, but he finished well. He, set that bar, set that standard high for that organization and for law enforcement leaders themselves.
Yeah, because this was a historical moment that was going to go in a book, in a timeline. And so the end of it is going to go in a book, in a timeline as well. And so I wanted to be like Michael Jordan when he walked out, on the good side, and not like Chief Jones was run out of the department because of
Right.
this. And every day that I went in and I put on that uniform or I put on that suit and sat behind the desk, I would have my coffee and I'd take a deep breath and say, okay, each day is a new adventure. Think before you make decisions. I had those chats with myself quite often.
That's good. Keeping it real.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to go back. You've mentioned these are going to be chapters in a book multiple times. So let's move back to your book. And why did you write Following a Path I Couldn't See?
So just the ideal of me becoming a law enforcement officer and moving through the ranks and even passing my own expectations, I guess you could say. I started jotting down notes of everything that had led me to this position and led me to where I was headed. And not all of it was good. There was a lot of moments in there that could break people down. There was a lot of moments that could hurt people, and a lot of things that could, cloud your judgment or anything, and how we handle it. And sometimes I didn't handle it well. And so as I was nearing the end of my career, I thought back about how did I get here and why did I get here? And it took me back to that one fateful moment that said, stay on this path and you'll be fine. And that was the path that I was put on. And when I decided to go ahead and write this book and get it out there and get it published, I did that for people coming up that don't really know where they're headed.
Mm.
But maybe if it could just help one person, I feel like the book did its job. But I wanted people to know that, wearing the badge wasn't just easy. Even the moments when I became the chief, somebody told me I made it look easy. And I just smiled because I knew what I did to get there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I put it out there for the young officers or any business that here's what I went through. It's not like this terrible as other people has been through, but if you put your mind to it and you have that faith, guess what? You can
Mhm.
walk through it, and
Mhm.
tomorrow is a better day.
I don't know if you realize, but I'm an author too, and I've been a writer for a long, long time, and really feel like writing can often be therapy. And I'm wondering if, as you were writing this book, did you discover anything about yourself that kind of came to light as you started putting words on a page?
Dude, this writing this book was very therapeutic.
Mm.
Seeing things that I've done and really didn't think that it was anything noteworthy, I guess you could say. I just thought that I was doing a job that following a path. But I did surprise myself as how much I changed over the years. Uh, and being an athlete, you got a cockiness about you when you when you're out there. I was in the best shape of my life. I was doing this, uh, but over the years, the big things that everybody panicked about, I never did. Uh, so my attitude and my demeanor stayed pretty even keel. It just steady because I needed to be able to clear my head to make the choices, no matter what was going on around. And that's even before I became the chief.
Mm.
Uh, you know, being on a shift at night when there was a fire and we had to do an evacuation, and I had to gather the officers up and say, okay, here's what we got to do. The bad thing, not the bad thing, but one thing about leading a team is when they have somebody that leads them, they look at them for answers. They're not going to make any decisions. And so if I'm standing there that I don't have any decisions for them, everything goes haywire. So writing this book, it let me know, man, I grew up really fast in a short amount of time in this career. And writing the book therapeutically helped me to understand a lot of things that I went through that I didn't understand then.
Mm.
And as I was writing it, I put the pen down and say, like, wow, I didn't ever realize that. So it helped me as much as I hope it helps somebody else.
Mm.
That brings me to just another writing question. Are you someone who journals? Did you journal throughout your career, or did you get to a point and finally say, "I've got to start writing this down"? Um,
So, unnoticeably, I did journal because we have our little pocket notebooks, and I still had every notebook from the first day that I started. It's so crazy, right? And
Yeah.
I could look in that notebook and I could remember every single thing, every day that I wrote in there, I could remember it. But at one point I did start journaling, but I still had those little notebooks. And when a memory pop up, I'd be like, oh, I got that in the book.
Mm.
And so I would pull it out. So yeah, yeah, crazy.
is what would you say is one habit that every young leader or every young aspiring leader should develop in their own professional life?
So for me, nobody's perfect, right? And so for me, it was I'm going to make a mistake. And I just told this to a bunch of high school students I had a presentation for yesterday. Nobody's perfect. You're going to make a mistake. It's not the mistake that makes you, it's your character and how you recover. So, and then being able to pass that down. So all these years of gaining all this knowledge is not mine to keep. It's mine to pass down. So the main thing is you're going to put the uniform on or you're going to step off into the executive office and you're going to want it. You're going to want to move to the top. You want to be the leader. So start preparing yourself for it now, but also remember, don't let the mistakes that you're gonna make define who you are.
Mm.
There's
Very
Yeah.
good.
always a way back.
That's when I was a lieutenant and had to start making some of those decisions that affected careers, or some of those more major decisions that affected the employees, after there was some kind of misconduct or discipline. So many times, it I would let them know, just just like you said, the incident that happened, that's not what's going to define you, but how you react to that, how you carry yourself afterwards. And as you go through your career and you've been in it for many years, you look back and you understand that they're really just road bumps along the way. They're if you, through your character, if you handle those correctly, that's all they are.
That's
They're a
it.
road bump, and it really helps define, um, who you can be when things get difficult. That you're gonna be somebody that continues to walk the right path, accepts that accountability, accepts that responsibility, and keeps moving forward. Or, they can start making excuses, and start casting blame in other areas,
Yes,
and that also is very, it's very defining, right, as to who that person's going to be. And it's interesting because that's when you start to see that those are folks that you want in your organization. Those are folks that you want others to model after. And it's those moments are very, very powerful, and it's so important that we as leaders make sure that as we walk through that with those that may have gone through some we're going through discipline process or some because of some misconduct, that we're still with them. We
yes,
still support them. We want to set them up for success. And I just really appreciate, and I think that the strongest leaders are the ones that see that, because we went through that ourselves, right? I mean, you
yes,
did not have a perfect, path through your law enforcement career. I certainly didn't either. And we learned so much from that. Even if we didn't handle it right, we learned that we didn't handle it right, and I'm going to do this differently next time. But All of those things go back to that, that character
The character.
is so incredibly important in our law enforcement leaders.
That's right. Yeah, I have created several policies myself during my during my year. But I did the toughest decision as a leader and as a chief was having to terminate a 17-year employee. They had many friends at the department, and many questions was arising. So I ended up having a meeting and explaining it. Not explaining exactly what happened because that's against HR rules, but as I tried to explain, one of the officers stood up and is like, "Well, you can't, blame a guy. Or you need to help a guy that makes a mistake." And I looked at him and I said, "How many times do a person get to make the same mistake before it's being called a mistake?" The person never they didn't learn, and we just couldn't continue to go down that path, so we ended up having to let that person relieve them of their duty. And that officer came back to me later and he was like, "I appreciated that answer." He never really looked at it that way. uh, to be honest with you, when it popped out of my mouth, it was surprisingly that I said it in that manner. But it was, I guess, it was spot on, and it made all the other officers understand it, and that's when they started, getting back on the side of the administration at that time.
Mm,
We
yeah,
wasn't just out to fire people, or we wasn't hanging paper. We walked with
right.
this guy through his whole disciplinary action, which was 6 months, and he just didn't get it, and he kept lying, and he sleeping on duty, and people was sending me pictures. I just had to do something.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
We like to look at our audience, our podcast audience, as either aspiring leaders, first level leaders, mid level leaders, and then also executive leader. With that in mind, what's one just leadership point of advice that you would want to impart if you had a chance to say something to our audience? What leadership wisdom would you share?
For me, uh, getting in that position, it doesn't mean that you have all the answers. It does not mean that you're always right. It means you got to remain human, and you got to acknowledge that before people can ever follow you. You can only be a leader if there's people behind you. Following the road yourself is lonely, and once you
Yeah,
get there, it's lonely. But
yeah.
never just answer a question right off the bat. Of any question that's asked, take time, think it through, and then give an answer. And trust the people that are working that you put in place to, deliver your direction.
Mhm.
We all have mission statements. And then you, as the leader, you have a direction of where you want your department or your agency to go. Put people in place that you can trust to make sure that direction is followed throughout your whole department. And always, always get on top of things that are not going right, hit them head on and early. Do not let them settle in and become a habit of the department. That was one of the toughest lessons to learn because nobody likes uncomfortable discussions, difficult
Hmm.
discussions. But difficult discussions is a part of growth for both you and the person that you're having the discussion with. And it's all
Yeah,
about transparency.
it is. And feedback is a gift. We need to
Yes.
learn to view it that way because it does
Mm,
just make us better. So I really appreciate your words that we can't just let it sit. We've got to
Yes,
address it.
drop that ego. That's the last thing you need to have in that chair is an ego that creates boundaries or creates a wall between you and the people that's really making your job easier. And those are the hard workers. We need to understand that and make sure we keep them happy so that they continue making you look good.
yeah, that's right.
Leon,
Well,
where's the best place to get your book? I know that it's available on Amazon. Is there another avenue that works well for
Oh,
you?
so that's I was when I wrote that book, I sent it in, and in less than 2 weeks, they had it out on the market. It was probably they told me it was going to take 6 to 8 weeks before it was ready to go, and they had it done in a short amount of time. And so I went on line and just like Google where you could get this book. It's on
Mhm.
every platform. I was
Good,
surprised.
good,
Walmart, Amazon, Barnes and
great,
Noble, lots of places. And
excellent.
yeah,
Wherever
I'm
you buy
still
books.
absorbing it.
Yep,
Wherever you buy books, I'm
good.
still absorbing it. And yes, whenever we get down here, I'd like to send you guys a signed copy. So if you would
Love
email me
that. We would love
your
that.
wow.
address, we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now you have three other books that you've written. Is that
Yes,
correct? Okay.
yes. So with the following a path I couldn't see, and I kind of see the cover there is That's the first one.
Okay.
I have one that's called Everything That Mattered. And this book is about uh, our age person that wakes up back in his teenage body. And does he have an opportunity to fix things he thinks he need to fix, or is it about something else? So I won't give you the whole story, but the end of it is it was the something else. And
Okay.
it was something that really, okay, I'll go ahead and say this. When somebody asked me if I could go back in the past and change one thing,
Yeah.
what would I do? And
Yeah.
in my mind, I said, I wouldn't go back and change anything. I wouldn't even talk to my younger self. I would
Mm,
go back and shake hands and give those people that are no longer with us a hug and tell them, I'm here because of you. And that's all family members and friends that are no longer with us. That's what I would do.
yeah.
And so that's where the idea of the book came from, but it's got a different twist to it.
Okay.
And then my next one is the Truth That Stayed, which is a police novel about a crime that happened in a small town. And my final book, not final, but my next book is called The Badge That Got Heavy, which will probably be ready in another month. Uh, but it talks about my final days at the police department leading up to retirement. And, you know, it talks about the leadership. It talks about the things that go on behind the badge that a lot of people probably don't know about. And that was the difficult discussions or the discussions and things that made that badge heavy as a
Yeah.
symbolism. Not being
Yeah.
able to just turn that phone off and go to sleep at night when you're in that position
Yeah.
and things like that, which that is not a complaint. I loved every minute of that job that I had, but 30 years was enough. And somebody else needed the opportunity to enjoy that. Because I could have held it for another 10 years, but that would have took 10 years away from somebody that really wanted it and earned it.
Mm,
So not thinking about myself all the time, but I would have just been
yeah.
sitting there absorbing it and taking the
Yeah.
opportunity away from someone else. And my time was up.
Wow. That's a great word. Well, Leon, first of all, we need to give a shout out to Jeff Thane.
Yes, really good friend. A
Yeah,
great
and
guy.
he's the one that got us connected, and I really appreciate that. He obviously can judge character very well. Having partnered with you in the way that he did,
He took
but
care of me in ways that he won't ever know when we
yeah,
was going through that incident.
yeah, good man. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Your story, our opportunity today, it just reminds us that leadership isn't about seeing that entire path, right? I mean, it's a day to day journey, and we don't necessarily get to see the end. We just have to walk through the path each and every day, and it's about faithfully taking that next step.
Yes,
And you really hit it. It's about serving your people well. And when I say your people, it's not only those within your organization, but it's that community that surrounds you, right? I mean, that's why we're there. We're there
that's right.
for the community, and we're there for our people. And the piece that I love so much about this is, and you've said it a couple of different times, it isn't about you, it's about making sure that others are prepared to come behind you, and partner with you and do the same, right? So
Exactly.
we just love having you today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
If today's episode added value, don't let it end here.
Share it with someone on your command staff or leadership team, because strong leadership isn't built in isolation.
And if you're ready to develop or become proactive leaders inside your organization,
Leaders who communicate clearly and strengthen internal trust,
then visit leleaders.com to learn more about our coaching programs, workshops, and keynotes.
and if the podcast has been helpful, we'd appreciate your 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Until next time, lead with clarity, lead with conviction, and elevate your call to service.